morning YouTube, this is me, Tyron, in the quarantine. And why am I making this video? Because I'm broke and yeah, there's not much else work to do, so I might as well give this a go. So what I'd like to do is to make a series of videos of recording my reviews of some books that I've read during the quarantine, and maybe some books outside of the quarantine also. I was also literate before the quarantine, so this is not a new skill I've learned, but I have had the time as a viewer to be able to do stuff that I wouldn't normally do, or at least do more of it, so why not read? Okay, so the first book I'd like to review is called Gulliver's Travels. I'm sure if you speak English you will have heard of it. It's a book written by a guy named Jonathan Swift, been made into a few different movies. I think Jack Black has acted in one of them or something, I don't know. I used to watch the VHS as a kid, but yeah, never read the book, so I thought why don't I read the book, because usually the books are more detailed. So yeah, like I said, book by Jonathan Swift. Yeah, this book, I believe he wrote it in 1726, so it's a pretty old book. It was written in a period that I think the British were doing their whole expansion of the empire. So obviously the theme of the book and the theme of the period of this type of writing is about navigation and exploration and stuff like that. This book specifically, the story itself was over a period of 16 years, from the 4th of May 1699 until the 5th of December 1715. So this is like pretty much bang in the middle of the expansion. Okay, so what is this book about? It's about a man named Lemuel Gulliver. Who knows how to pronounce his name actually? I'm gonna go with Lemuel Gulliver. He always ends up finding himself knee deep in crap. So what I mean by this is that he has like the worst luck as a seaman, constantly finding himself in some trouble, but for some reason he has this urge to keep traveling. Every time he returns home from his dire, would you say, situations, he can't sit still for a while, and he feels this urge to go on a new journey. He goes on different journeys, but the four main ones that this book discusses is he finds these islands that obviously are fictional, but in the story they are just seen as these islands that the known world, hypothetically, has not discovered this part of the world. He comes across really strange different populations, as you can see from the cover. I don't know if you can see that, but one little man and one giant like character. So we don't know which one of the two is Gulliver, because in the story he visits different ones where there's people of different sizes, and because of this, you know, he becomes a marvel in each island. He becomes somebody that is strange and obscure to them. So he meets giants, and because he's not a giant himself, he's seen as like a really strange character because he's a tiny handheld man. Or he goes to an island where, you know, there's really small people and he's thought to be a giant, and there's many places that he goes to. How this book is written, so it's written as if Gulliver is entering his travel journal. So this is almost like his diary of what he did. Not exactly like a diary day per day. I've read some other books that are written almost as if they're just diary entries, but sort of a cross between a novel and a diary entry. He talks about his experiences, especially going to all these foreign places where they speak languages that he doesn't understand, and for the known world he knows quite a few different languages, and probably from his journeys and that. But these countries that he comes across, the languages that they speak are completely different, and there's nothing relatable to what he knows. So in this, he's forced to learn the languages, and he's forced to try and interact with people that he doesn't know how to talk to them, but he goes about his way and he learns how to interact with these people. I think that's quite an important feature, that possibly a little dig at the British Empire itself, considering that the expansion of English was a big part of their empire. So rather than him going and forcing everyone to learn English, he's going there and he's learning to speak their language. I'm not sure what Jonathan Swift was trying to do with that, but that's my take on why he did that. What I liked about this book specifically was it's a super short book comprised of pretty much 4 short stories. Each island that he visits, he might as well just make one book out of each of them, but you know, he's comprised them all into one single book. Yeah, so it's a short book, pretty easy to read, not much thought process goes into sitting there and understanding the story. It's a pretty simple story. Another aspect that I like about the book is how creative Jonathan Swift was with his story, how he developed the characters and developed the world that they were living in. I thought he was quite creative with that. And the fact that he touches on the different interactions and the human experiences, I feel like one can learn what he talks about. I think it's quite interesting. What I would give as a con against this book is that I'm not sure if the spelling is old or if they've spelt a lot of the word is, well, especially in the version that I've got. I don't know if there's other versions with different spelling, but the spelling that they use in here, I'm not sure if it's old spelling or if it's just spelling in the way that he speaks, or if it's supposed to be because it's a diary entry. Literature is not his strong point, it's surgery and medicine. But if you want to read the book and English is not your first language, or you're not strong with your English, I think it can confuse you as the reader in terms of how the words are supposed to be spelled and stuff. So if you are learning English, I would suggest not taking the spelling of these words as the gospel, because you will definitely start getting confused with how to spell words that we use today. Might not be important to you, but if maybe you'd like to get a job in a country that speaks English and you need to, I don't know, write your CV or write an email, and that you'd probably want to be able to spell correctly and give yourself the best opportunities. So the spelling in this is not modern spelling, I'll call it that. The other thing that I found difficult with this book is the fictional names that he comes up with and the languages that he uses. They can be like really difficult to understand, to remember the names, because the spelling of the names are like so obscure that after a while you start to forget like what the name of the person is or what the name of the place is, or even how to pronounce it, because the names are just so obscure. For example, you've got names such as Rob Dignag, Balny Barbie, Glub Dub Drib, Glumdal Klitch, and is Honums, or Hoinums, or Huinums, or like, who actually knows how to pronounce it? If you know how to pronounce it, please let me know. I was using the pronunciation Honum, but it didn't look like it was spelled like that to me, but that's as close as I could work out how to spell that. So yeah, so the names can be really difficult to remember. And lastly, why did I like this book specifically? In particular, I work on boats. I'm a qualified boat driver. Naturally, the stories of navigation interest me a little bit, and I do enjoy learning about new cultures and visiting new places and stuff. I'm sure that most people will say the same thing. I enjoy learning new languages, all these kind of things. So this book kind of summed up my interests all in one go. I would give this, on my scale of personal rating of how I enjoyed it, about a 7 out of 10. I think that's a fair result. Thanks for putting yourself through this video, and yeah, please let me know if you think this was wooden or if I was looking away too much, or what you thought. And cool, I'll be reviewing something else soon. Cheers.